And in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up, and his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. And he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper, and practice, and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people. And through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand. And he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes. But he shall be broken without hand, and the vision of the evening and the morning which was told is true. Wherefore shut thou up the vision, for it shall be for many days. And I, Daniel, fainted, and was sick certain days. Afterward I rose up, and did the king's business. And I was astonished at the vision, but none understood it. And I heard, but I understood not. Then said I, O my Lord, what shall be the end of these things? And he said, Go thy way, Daniel, for the words are closed up and sealed till the time of the end. Many shall be purified and made white and tried, but the wicked shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand, but the wise shall understand.
The one thing that does concern me, and I know concerns a lot of people out there, so I do have to bring it up, which is Neuralink.
Sure.
So, firstly, can you explain what Neuralink is and what the goal of it is?
We put a chip in your brain to control your mind. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Concerns not alleviated.
Yeah, there you go. Jump right in. Step right up. Who wants one? No, so Neuralink, you'll be able to see.
What's your problem? I said, what's your problem?
We've also been working on full holographic AR glasses for almost 10 years. All right, here we go. There you go. This is Orion, our first fully functioning prototype, and if I do say so, the most advanced glasses the world has ever seen. About a decade ago, I started putting together a team of the best people in the world to build these glasses. And the requirements are actually pretty simple, but the technical challenges to make them are insane. They need to be glasses, not a headset, no wires, less than 100 grams, They need wide field of view, holographic displays. This is the physical world with holograms overlaid on it. So if someone messages you, you will see that. And instead of having to pull out your phone, there will just be a little hologram, and with a few subtle gestures, you can reply without getting pulled away from the moment. Or if you want to be with someone who is far away, they're going to be able to teleport as a hologram into your living room, as if they're right there with you. You're going to be able to tap your fingers and bring up a game of cards or chess or holographic ping pong or whatever it is that you want to do together. You can work or play or whatever.
This gives a whole new meaning to the image of the beast prophecy. No wonder why no one understood the vision of Prophet Daniel back in ancient Babylon. It's the same as explaining colors to someone who's blind.
All right, so how are you going to interact with the glasses? Well, there's a few ways that this is going to work. They're going to do voice and AI. They're going to do hand tracking and eye tracking, so you can select UI elements by looking at them. But there's one more way that you're going to be able to interact with them that is really pretty neat. A neural interface. See, voice is great, but the thing is sometimes you're in public and you don't want to say what you're trying to do with your computer out loud. Hand tracking is neat for controlling different interfaces, but you don't want to like walk down the street like this, right? So I think that you need a device that allows you to just send a signal from your brain to the device. So this isn't just the first full screen, full wide field of view holographic AR glasses. This is also the first device that is powered by our wrist-based neural interface.
Piano would be insane.
Amazing,
Yo, this is crazy.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
This is like breaking the 4-minute mile.
It's so fast. Tracking is extremely good.
Such good sound design too.
Wow, and she's so clear.
When this became the television, that became the radio.
Yep.
That's what's coming next.
Yeah.
This is the coolest thing.
So cool.
That's cool.
This game is so fun.
I am not going to lose this game.
I'm playing with a 3D avatar.
I see you're very focused now. Yeah, very focused.
You really do kind of feel like a superhero. It's like a new sense, new dimension.
Wow. This can be just a whole new world.
So with Orion, we are getting closer to achieving the dream of Reality Labs, to create the next major computing platform that delivers a deep sense of presence like you were right there with another person. This is where we are going.
2 students at Harvard have created new technology that gives users access to your name, your phone number, and address just by looking at you. Brandon Truitt shows us how it works and how you can protect yourself.
Harvard University students are known for being ahead of the game, and Anfu Wen and Kane Ardafio are living up to the hype. It took them about a day to create it.
So we were just kind of like playing around, seeing, what are the possibilities of code.
The guys used the Meta Ray-Bans from Facebook's parent company, which have cameras right on the lens.
This is like the warning shot that could be heard around the world.
Peter Tran is our cybersecurity guru and says it's one of the strongest examples he's seen of the loopholes this technology can exploit.
I'm both camps. I'm both excited and both really scared, right? To the point where it probably will keep me up at night at a certain point from a cybersecurity and privacy aspect.
So every bit of this is legal. There are restrictions on how governments can use this technology, but not people. Something top of mind for the guys who are hoping state and federal governments step in.
That's why we spent, the vast majority of the time not coding, but looking at like privacy regulations and seeing like how can we help people protect themselves.
What do you want people to take away from kind of this technology that you've ultimately built here?
People should obviously be more aware of their data. We want people to be aware that this is possible now, and you should take precautions against that.
We built glasses that let you identify anybody on the street. The information our tool collects from just a photo of your face is staggering.
To use it, you just put the glasses on, then as you walk by people, the glasses will detect when somebody's face is in frame. This photo is used to analyze them, and after a few seconds, their personal information pops up on your phone.
Oh, this is me volunteering.
June Lee, right?
Yeah. Oh my god.
This
photo was great. This is like from
You're from
2018.
Bergen County Academies?
Yeah.
Your Korean name is Ju Yoon?
Cambridge Community Foundation. Oh, hi, ma'am. Wait, are you Betsy?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I think I met you through like the Cambridge Community Foundation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's great to meet you. I'm Kane.
Oh, wait. Oh, so do you happen to be the person working on like minority stuff for like Muslims in India at all or something?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you Kashif?
Yes.
Oh, I've read your work before. It's super cool. I'm Anfu. Nice to meet you. Oh, I love.
Anfu, get in frame.
Oh, okay. But are you Sarah Chan?
No.
So here's how it works. We stream the video from the glasses straight to Instagram and have a computer program monitor the stream. We use AI to detect when we're looking at someone's face. Then we scour the internet to find more pictures of that person. Finally, we use data sources like online articles and voter registration databases to figure out their name, phone number, home address, and relatives' names. And it's all fed back to an app we wrote on our phone.
Using our glasses, we were able to identify dozens of people, including Harvard students, without them ever even knowing. Here's some of our favorites.
My aunt was Secretary of Transportation. That was like when she was getting.
Wait. Oh. Yeah. Wait, what's her aunt's name?
Elaine Chow.
Yeah, okay.
Is your address 4 Valley?
Yeah.
Atlanta, Georgia, 303. Is
oh my god. Yes. Not anything, but yes.
also attended Yale's Young Global Scholar Summer Program, right?
Really?
Yeah, these are me in like middle school.
Oh my god. What about John and Susan? Are they your
Those are my parents.
parents? Okay.
Hi everyone. Thank you. It's great to have you here today. Today I'm going to talk about 3 things. That's it. We will start with why it's so important to us to have a product that we can make freely available and broadly available to everyone. And we're always trying to find out ways to reduce friction so everyone can use ChatGPT wherever they are. So today, we'll be releasing the desktop version of ChatGPT and the refreshed UI that makes it simpler to use, much more natural as well. But the big news today is that we are launching our new flagship model, and we are calling it GPT-4o. The special thing about GPT-4o is that it brings GPT-4 level intelligence to everyone, including our free users.
Imagine what artificial intelligence will be able to do, let's say, in another year from now, when its growth is exponential, a straight line up. We just saw a report about privacy concerns. Hate to break your bubble there, but we don't have any privacy left already. The media, of course, will talk in circles about privacy concerns. That's what the media does. Focus on the surface. But in reality, it's much bigger than that. And the reality is this. And this is crazy to think and to see how audience is mesmerized by this technology, how they're cheering for it. The reality is that you and me are disposable. We are replaceable. If some of you are still naive and think that you will be able to sustain your job, then please wake up from your pipe dream. We are being systematically destroyed, by design, and take another look at the future they want for you and your kids.
All the capabilities to you. But today, I want to show you all these capabilities. So we'll do some live demos. I will bring on 2 of our research leads, Mark Chen and Berit Zov, to join me.
Hi, I'm Berit.
Hey, I'm Mark. So one of the key capabilities we're really excited to share with you today is real-time conversational speech. Let's just get a demo fired up. So I'm taking out a phone. If you are wondering about this wire, it's so we have consistent internet.
you serious?
And if you see, there's this little icon on the bottom right of the ChatGPT app. Frankly, I'm feeling a little bit nervous. Can you help me calm my nerves a little bit?
Oh, you're doing a live demo right now? That's awesome. Just take a deep breath. And remember, you're the expert here.
I like that suggestion. Let me try a couple deep breaths. Can you give me feedback on my breaths? Okay, here I go.
Whoa, slow a bit there. Breathe in for a count of 4.
Okay, let me try again. So I'm gonna breathe in deeply and then breathe out.
For 4, and then exhale slowly.
Okay, I'll try again. Breathing in and breathe out.
That's it. How do you feel?
I feel a lot better. Thank you so much.
Okay, yeah, so I'm gonna show you a selfie of what I look like, and then I'd like you to try to see what emotions I'm feeling based on how I'm looking.
Sounds like a fun challenge. Go ahead and show me that selfie, and I'll put my emotional detective hat on.
Okay, so here's me. So what kind of emotions do you think I'm feeling?
It seems like I'm looking at a picture of a wooden surface.
Oh, you know what? That was the thing I sent you before. Don't worry, I'm not actually a table. Okay, so take another look.
That makes more sense. There we go. It looks like you're feeling pretty happy and cheerful, with a big smile and maybe even a touch of excitement. Whatever's going on, it seems like you're in a great mood. Care to share the source of those good vibes?
Yeah, no, the reason I'm in a really good mood is because we were doing a presentation showcasing how useful and amazing you are.
Oh, stop it. You're making me blush.
Amazing.
Come on up here, Elon. He created the first major American car company in generations, and his rocket company is the only reason we can now send American astronauts into space. Come here. Take over, Elon. Yes, take over.
Hi, everyone. As you can see, I'm not just MAGA, I'm dark MAGA. Well, first of all, I want to say what an honor it is to be here. And, you know, the true test of someone's character is how they behave under fire. And we had one president who couldn't climb a flight of stairs, and another who was fist pumping after getting shot. Fight, fight, fight! Blood coming down the face. Now, America is the home of the brave. And there's no truer test than courage under fire. So who do you want representing America? Yeah, absolutely. And I think this election, I think it's the most important election of our lifetime. This is no ordinary election. This is a must-win situation. Must win. So I have one ask for everyone in the audience, everyone who watches this video, everyone on the live stream. There's one request. It's very important. Register to vote. Okay? And get everyone you know and everyone you don't know, drag them to register to vote. This will be the last election. That's my prediction. Nothing's more important. Nothing's more important. Register to vote. I'm being repetitive for a reason, okay? So nothing is more important. And a lot of people think maybe their vote doesn't count. Well, it does, okay? It does. It matters. And this election could be decided by 1,000 votes, 500 votes. So thank you. And honestly, you want to just be a pest. Just be a pest to everyone you know, people on the street, everywhere. Vote, vote, vote. Fight, fight, fight. Vote, vote, vote. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, here, everywhere, online, around the world, outer space, I'm Franz. And on behalf of everybody at Tesla, welcome to We Robot. Just want to thank Warner Brothers for hosting us here. As you know, this is the birthplace of many epic films, many of them depicting a vision of the future. We're here tonight to experience that future that is closer than you think. And who better than Elon, right, to show us that future?
Welcome to the We Robot Party. So we have quite a show for you tonight. I think you're gonna like it. As you can see, I just arrived in the Robotaxi, the Cybercab, and there's 20 more where that came from. So they've been traveling. There's no people in them, as you can see. The car's just going by with no people. And we have 50 fully autonomous cars here tonight. So you'll see Model Ys and the Cybercab, all driverless. You'll be able to take a ride in the Cybercab. There's no steering wheel or pedals. So I hope this goes well.
Holy shit. Holy shit. Wow. Wow.
Sorry.
Holy shit. Buckle your seatbelt. My first driverless Tesla ride in the all-new Tesla Cybercab. Wow. Wow, select where you want to go. Okay, let's go to Westworld. And let's start the ride. From the Tesla Theater to Westworld, we got theater, there's a stop ride button, you got games, your usual games here. Oh, they got Rocket League in here. Okay, they got a map. Cool. We're ready for our first driverless ride. No steering wheels, no pedals. This is so nice. You can just stretch out your feet.
Yeah, it's really spacious.
Yeah. In the other cars, you kind of have the pedals in the way. Not a problem here. All right, we're pulling out now. Here we go. I've always wondered when my first driverless Tesla ride would be, and it's today. And who knew it would be in a vehicle with no steering wheels or pedals. This is just such a crazy event. There's all these driverless Teslas around. Model 3s, Model Ys, and Cybercabs. Wow, this is really incredible. $30,000 for this? This is amazing.
How stupid do you want to be? I mean, how pathetic and stupid do you want to become? Driving on rails in a box with no steering wheel? And this is supposed to be exciting? I have no words. And tell me this one thing. If you're in danger, what are your chances escaping it quickly? And you can't even turn the damn thing. Might as well just call it a coffin, because for certain you will die in it. The future. And this is the future? What a joke. But it's alright, because God will mock and laugh at their calamity. We just have to be patient. You see, they think most of the population is retarded, and sadly, they are correct.
So we'll move from supervised full self-driving to unsupervised full self-driving, where the car, you could fall asleep and wake up at your destination. So, but there's also a challenge for a lot of people that cars cost too much. I mean, when you factor in everything that goes into a car, and the car insurance, and the car payments, and the storage of the car, it's very expensive. So, and you said, like, how many hours a week are cars used? Your average passenger car is only used about 10 hours a week out of 168 hours. So the vast majority of the time, cars are just doing nothing. But if they're autonomous, they could be used, I don't know, 5 times more, maybe 10 times more. So you could actually, for the same car, would have 5 times as much value, maybe 10 times as much value. There's 168 hours in the week, and like I said, only 10 of them are used for driving. So, and then a bunch of those hours are looking for a parking spot, which is, can be pretty annoying at times. So we want, with autonomy, you get your time back. This is a very big deal. So it's not just it'll save lives, like a lot of lives, and prevent injuries. I think we'll see autonomous cars become 10 times safer than a human.
As Bishal Malla stood alongside firefighters, he was at a loss for words.
I don't know. I'm just speechless at the moment.
His Tesla, a skeleton of what it had been just hours before.
It's just like all gone. And I'm just so lucky to be alive at the moment. And I'm so glad that my family was not there.
He says he was on his way home. He'd been out running errands when the car started shaking.
I pull over to check and see if I have a flat tire or something. And the moment I opened the door, I saw smoke coming from the bottom.
The smoke, he says, quickly turned into large flames. He recorded them on his cell phone as fire crews let the car burn.
It's really difficult for firefighters to stand around and watch, whereas right now a lot of the research and studies say the best thing you can do is just let it burn. The issue with the electric vehicles is access to the batteries. The batteries are what are causing the enormous amount of heat buildup.
The car is about to be towed away. The battalion chief says, though, that once it's gone, someone will have to keep watching it. They have to make sure that those batteries don't reignite.
And even after it's towed to wherever tow yard it's going to, a lot of times the tow yards will submerge the vehicle in water to keep those batteries from flaring back up several hours later and causing another fire.
This weekend, Sac Metro firefighters say they put out their first Tesla car fire. You can see it there in the background. The car involved in a crash a few weeks ago and was parked in a wrecking yard, and then it goes up in flames all this time later. Crews kept hosing that car off, only for more of those flames to keep shooting out, coming out of the battery compartment, we're told. So here's what happened. Eventually, crews had to dig a pit, place the car inside, and fill it with water to finally get those flames to go out.
This is a family in Florida whose Tesla caught fire in their garage. A Nest camera captured the moment that the fire started, which eventually grew and burned down their entire home. The family says the Tesla Model X Plaid was parked in the garage during the storm, not plugged in, and elevated off the ground. 9 people were inside at the time of that fire, but everyone made it out safely. Officials advised residents with electric vehicles exposed to salt water to move them at least 50 feet away from their homes. Otherwise, they could catch fire.
And it's not just the lives saved in injuries, but if you think about the cumulative time that people spend in a car and the time that they will get back, that they can now spend, well, I guess on their phones or watching a movie or doing work or whatever you want to do. You can think of the car in an autonomous world as being like just a little lounge. You're just sitting in a comfortable little lounge, and you can do whatever you want while you're in this comfortable little lounge. And when you get out, you will be at your destination. So, yeah, it's going to be awesome. I think the cost of autonomous transport will be so low that you can think of it like individualized mass transit. The average cost of a bus per mile for a city, not the ticket price because that is subsidized, but the average price is about $1 a mile. Whereas the cost of Cybercab, we think probably over time, from the operating cost is probably going to be around 20 cents a mile. And price, including taxes and everything else, probably ends up being 30 or 40 cents a mile. So yes, and you will be able to buy one. Yes, exactly. We expect the cost to be below $30,000. And I think there'll be an interesting, business model where, like, let's say somebody is an, Uber or Lyft driver today, where they can actually sort of manage a fleet of cars, and sort of manage, 10, 20 cars, and just sort of, take care of them like a shepherd tends their flock. You have your flock of cars, and you're the shepherd, and you take care of your flock of cars. I think that'd be pretty cool. I think it's going to be a glorious future. It's going to be really something special. So we do expect actually to start fully autonomous, unsupervised FSD in Texas and California next year. And that's with the Model 3 and Model Y. And then we expect to be in production with the Cybercab, which is really highly optimized for autonomous transport. In probably, well, I tend to be a little optimistic with time frames, but in 2026. So, yeah, before 2027. Let me put it that way. So one of the reasons why the computer can be so much better than a person is that we have millions of cars that are training on driving. So it's like living millions of lives simultaneously and seeing very unusual situations that a person in their entire lifetime would not see. But hopefully, yeah, exactly. So with that amount of training data, it's obviously going to be much better than what a human could be, because you can't live a million lives. And it's also, it can see in all directions simultaneously, and it doesn't get tired or text or any of those things. So it will naturally be, like I said, 10, 20, 30 times safer than a human, just for all those reasons. And I want to emphasize that the solution that we have is AI and vision. So there's no expensive equipment needed. So the Model 3 and Model Y and S and X that we make today will be capable of full autonomy unsupervised. And that means that our cost of producing the vehicle is low.
The electric vehicle revolution is charging ahead. Any critical new player might soon steal the spotlight. Solid-state batteries. Samsung's recent breakthrough in silver-based solid-state battery technology could not only transform the EV landscape, but also send shockwaves through the silver market. These batteries promise a 600-mile range on a single charge, a 20-year lifespan, and a mere 9-minute charging time. Let's skip these parts. It says estimates suggest that each solid-state battery cell could require approximately 5 grams of silver, which a typical 100 kilowatt battery pack potentially using up 1 kilogram of silver. If 20% of global car production adopts this technology, it could translate to an annual silver demand 16,000 metric tons. So I wonder, what's it going to do to the silver market? Is it going to explode? Because we know that silver prices are extremely suppressed. It's the most suppressed asset in the world. And yeah, plus you have to destroy the earth like crazy to produce these batteries. And that's only the cars.
Thanks, guys. I love you too. So one of the things that is really interesting is how will this affect the cities that we live in? And when you drive around a city, or when the car drives you around a city, you'll see there's a lot of parking lots. There's parking lots everywhere. Parking garages. There are and so what would happen if you have an autonomous world is that you can now turn parking lots into parks. And so we're taking the ing lot out of parking lot. Welcome. So there's a lot of opportunity to create green space in the cities that we live in.
Something we're also doing is, and it's really high time we did this, is inductive charging. So the robotaxi has no plug. It just goes over the inductive charger and charges. So yeah, it's kind of how it should be. Oh, and also, what happens if you need a vehicle that is bigger than a Model Y? The Robovan. The Robovan is, we're going to make this, and it's going to look like that. Now, can you imagine going down the streets and you see this coming towards you? That'd be sick. So this can carry up to 20 people, and it can also transport goods. So you can configure it for goods transport within a city, or transport of up to 20 people at a time. So this is gonna, the Robovan is what's gonna solve for high density. So if you want to take a sports team somewhere, or you're looking to really get the cost of travel down to, I don't know, 5-10 cents a mile, then you can use the Robovan. Some people call it the Robovan, but speaking of robots, so everything we've developed for our cars, the batteries, power electronics, the advanced motors, gearboxes, the software, the AI inference computer, it all actually applies to a humanoid robot. So the same techniques, it's just a robot with arms and legs instead of a robot with wheels. And we've made a lot of progress with Optimus. And as you can see, we started up with someone in a robot suit, sort of down, and then we've progressed dramatically year after year. So if you extrapolate this, you're really going to have something spectacular, something that anyone could own. So you can have your own personal R2-D2 C-3PO.
Robots, you will not move. Confirm command.
Command confirmed.
Detective, what are you doing?
You said they've all been programmed with the 3 laws, so that means we have 1,000 robots that will not try to protect themselves if it violates a direct order from a human. And I'm betting one who will.
Detective, put your gun down.
Why do you give them faces? Try to friendly them all up, make them look all human.
These robots are not susceptible to intimidation.
I guess if you didn't, we wouldn't trust them.
These robots are USR property.
Not me. These things are just lights and clockwork.
Are you crazy?
Let me ask you something, Doc. Does thinking you're the last sane man on the face of the earth make you crazy? Because if it does, maybe I am. Gotcha.
Get the hell out of here!
Elon, he's a techno king.
Optimus can talk?
Yeah. He also does sign language.
Hey Optimus, what's up?
How's it going, man? Enjoying the party?
What do you think of the new Cybercab?
Cybercab looks amazing.
I know.
I'm trying to get a ride.
Dude, me too.
See that?
Yes. You want to get a photo?
Yeah, for sure. Let's do it. A little video. Hey. Sweet. Thanks, man. Bro. Appreciate it.
Of course, anytime.
All right.
How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing?
Tremendous.
Doing good.
Peace, everybody.
How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Nice.
I love the change. How's everybody doing?
Order a drink.
Doing good.
All right. Then step right up.
Can I have a watermelon fogarita?
A watermelon?
Yeah.
Of course you can.
Hey, what's up?
Cheers, man.
How am I doing so far?
Killing it.
Thank you so much.
Oh,
Here you go.
thanks Optimus. Appreciate it.
Anytime.
Optimus.
People here today.
It's insane. It's even talking.
Hi to my friend John.
John? Where's John?
Right here.
Oh, hello, John.
How are you?
How you doing?
That's crazy. I'm talking to a robot. From San Jose. Probably from where you were born in Silicon Valley.
Wonderful. Where do you live in San Jose? Do you live in Almond Valley or do you live in the Santa Teresa area?
No, I live in Los Gatos.
Los Gatos. Oh, wonderful. Very
Yeah.
nice area.
Where do you live?
Beautiful hiking I hear out there.
There is. Where do you live?
I live in Palo Alto at the current moment.
Figures. Yeah, this is awesome.
That's where they train us, that's where we get our builds, and that's where we work with a wonderful group of people.
What's the hardest thing about being a robot?
Trying to learn how to be as human as you guys are. And that's something I try harder to do every day, and I hope that you will help us become that way.
Well, awesome. Nice to meet you, Optimus.
You as well.
But fundamentally, at scale, the Optimus robot, you should be able to buy an Optimus robot for, I think, probably $20,000 to $30,000 long term. So, and what can it do? It'll basically do anything you want. So it can be a teacher, babysit your kids. It can walk your dog, mow your lawn, get the groceries, just be your friend, serve drinks, whatever you can think of, it will do. And yeah, it's going to be awesome. And I think this will be the biggest product ever of any kind.
Yeah. Because I think everyone, of the 8 billion people of Earth, I think everyone's going to want their Optimus buddy. And there's going to be maybe two. And then they'll be producing products and services. I predict, actually, provided we address risks of digital superintelligence, 80% probability of good, a good outcome. Look on the bright side. The cup is 80% full. The cost of products and services will decline dramatically, and basically anyone will be able to have any products and services they want. It will be an age of abundance, the likes of which people have not, almost no one has envisioned. It'll be something special. So, and one of the things we wanted to show tonight was that Optimus is not a canned video. It's not walled off. The Optimus robots will walk among you. Please be nice to the Optimus robots. So you'll be able to walk right up to them, and they'll serve drinks at the bar.
Isn't this great news? Now demonically possessed robots can do your laundry or clean the dishes. Or, on top of all that, let's get even more insane than it is. It can do a Bible study with you. Fantastic. Amazing, isn't it? Completely nuts.
Part of it, I suppose, is sort of the decline of religion. So, you know, as the saying goes, nature abhors a vacuum. So when you have essentially a decline in religion, an increase in the secular nature of society, for most people, they need something to fill that void. And so they adopt a religion. It's not called a religion, but effectively like woke, the woke mind virus. It takes the place of religion.
Yes.
And they internalize it and they feel it with religious fervor.
Yes. And rigidity.
Yes. Yes. And they, you know, they essentially conduct like a holy war, effectively. It's just not called a religion, but it is a religion, sort of a woke holy war. And they're highly resistant to change, as is normal for religions. So now for myself, I sort of see myself as a sort of engineer, physicist. For me, I'm culturally Christian. I grew up Christian. I mean, I was Anglican, was baptized. I went to Sunday school.
Yeah.
Actually, oddly enough, I was sent to Hebrew preschool and Anglican Sunday school at the same time. So it was Haba Nagila one day, Jesus Elo the next, which is, if you're 5 years old, it's fine. But I'm not Jewish. It's just that my father's two partners in his engineering firm went to the same Hebrew preschool, and it was near our house, so I just got sent there.
What if Israel decided one day that it would be a lot better for the world if these robotic demons started exploding at your home? Not to mention that they are a literal walking spyware. But imagine malfunctioning, exploding robots, just like Israel did with those outdated pagers not long ago. And if I remember it correctly, the pagers technology is from the 50s or 60s, and it was widely used in the 80s. Correct me if I'm wrong. All they had to do was either put explosives in those pagers, or just remotely overheat the battery. So, now walking, talking and exploding humanoid spyware in your home doesn't sound so appealing anymore, right? And Elon Musk is shaking hands with Zionist Mr. Netanyahu. But you can trust Elon. You can totally trust the guy who wants to implant Neuralink into your skull. I mean, what could possibly go wrong? And those selected morons in the crowd who covered this whole event, they are all for it.
So on the complete other side of it, you have an RFID chip implanted in you.
Yeah.
So I hear.
Yeah.
Nice. So this is
a little subtle thing.
It's a passive device that you use for unlocking like a safe with top secrets, or what do you use it for? What's the story behind it?
I'm not the first one. There's there's this whole community of weirdo biohackers that have done this stuff, and I think one of the early use cases was storing, private crypto wallet keys and whatever. I dabbled in that a bit and had some fun with it.
Do you have some Bitcoin implanted in your body somewhere? You can't tell where. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, yeah. It was, the modern day equivalent of finding change in the sofa cushions. After I put some orphan crypto on there that I thought was worthless and forgot about it for a few years, went back and found that some community of people loved it and had propped up the value of it. And so it had gone up 50-fold. Wow. So there was a lot of change in those cushions.
That's hilarious.
But the primary use case is mostly as a tech demonstrator. It has my business card on it. You can scan that in by touching it to your phone. It opens the front door to my house. Whatever, simple stuff.
But it's a cool step. It's a cool leap to implant something in your body. I mean, it's a similar leap to a Neuralink. Because for a lot of people, that kind of notion of putting something inside your body, something electronic inside a biological system, is a big leap.
Yeah, we have a kind of a mysticism around the barrier of our skin. We're completely fine with knee replacements, hip replacements, dental implants. But there's a mysticism still around the inviolable barrier that the skull represents. And I think that needs to be treated like any other pragmatic barrier. The question isn't how incredible is it to open the skull? The question is, what benefit can we provide?
I, Eric Lander,
I, Eric Lander,
do solemnly swear
that
I will support and defend
the
Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter. So help me God. Congratulations, Mr. Director. Congratulations. There we are.
Thank you.
There we are.
Thank
The
you,
whole
thank you.
family. Here, let's take a photograph. And then, Dr. Lander, will you please share with us this beautiful sacred book upon which you have taken your oath? Will you talk to us about that?
I would love to. This comes from the Library of Congress, and it has a really interesting story. For me, in thinking about an oath of office, I thought about values and what are my values, the administration's values, what are we all here trying to do? And there's a very special concept in Jewish tradition called tikkun olam, the repairing of the world. And we're all called upon to repair the world, whatever religion or tradition we come from. But there's a specific line that comes in the Jewish tradition that contains that obligation. And it's right here at this point on this page. It says, we don't have to finish the work, but we may not refrain from doing that work, the work of repairing the world. And so that line comes from the compilation of an oral tradition 1,800 years ago in a particular book, in that Mishnah, a book called Pirkei Avot. And this special edition was from the first Mishnah, the first compilation of the oral tradition ever printed on a printing press, just a few decades after Gutenberg's Bible, by a printer in the Kingdom of Naples in the year 1492. And 1492 is special in Jewish tradition because it was the year the Jews were expelled from the Kingdom of Spain. And at the same time, a printer is printing in the Kingdom of Naples. Spain and Naples, they were both ruled by cousins, both named Ferdinand. And one started the Spanish Inquisition, and the other started a haven for tolerance. And so this book speaks in many ways to the work of this administration of repairing the world. Building Back Better, I think, is a modern version of repairing the world. It speaks about tolerance and intolerance, And it also speaks about one other thing I have to say, which is this book was not known to exist until about 10 years ago, when a Hebraic scholar at the Library of Congress, who is standing right back there, Dr. Ann Brenner, found it and recognized that it was a text from 1492 rather than something much more recent. And it's only because of her scholarship that it got entered into the catalog of the Library of Congress. And when I was looking for a Mishnah, that I could find it. And so the book also talks about the amazing people who work as servants for the public in the United States. And so all of those things are bound up in just this 13-page fragment of this 500-year-old book. And it means a lot to me about why we're all here doing this work. So thank you.
Congratulations.
Clearly, the Jews of Sepphoris chose to live life in the here and now. But if you're thinking, well, this must have been a pretty relaxed place where liberal, laid-back rabbis would wink at a picture or two, you'd be absolutely wrong, because Sepphoris was a place of intense devotion and study, where every religious discussion came back to the critical issue of how to be Jewish and how to stay Jewish.
What's up?
Leading the discussion were the rabbis. The teachers with one eye on the past with its pious veneration of the laws contained within the Hebrew Bible, and one eye on the present day, where those laws had somehow to be honored without the institution that once supported them. When the vast and magnificent temple in Jerusalem went, it was replaced by an equally vast edifice of words. In a breathtaking decision, the rabbis decided that the words of the Torah, the Bible law, were not enough to fill the void, and that they needed supplementing with the oral tradition, which would henceforth have the status of law. This work was called the Mishnah, and it was begun here at Sepphoris. The Mishnah, which literally means repetition, catalogued the commandments that are scattered throughout the Torah, and recorded the many oral interpretations that had clustered around them. The authors of the Mishnah aimed to cover everything in Jewish life, from circumcision to funerals. And unlike the Torah, their work was helpfully arranged in subjects. If you wanted to know about divorce, you went to the book called Women, Nashim. If you wanted to know which crops to sow and harvest, you went to Zerayim, seeds. And if you wanted to know what not to do on the Sabbath, they offered 39 varieties of prohibition in the chapter on the Sabbath. Thinking of tearing something? Don't do it. Thinking of curing a hide? Absolutely don't do it. Thinking of lighting a fire? Don't even think about that. And the Mishnah was just the start of what, over the next 4 centuries, would expand into the Talmud. That endless hypertext made up of the voices of hundreds of rabbis, all circling obsessively around the central dilemma of post-temple Judaism: how to stay Jewish in a non-Jewish world. Ever wonder why Jews are so argumentative? Because it is in fact part of our religion. This is my old friend Leon Wieseltier, someone with whom I've had my fair share of arguments over the years, but we both agree that the Talmud would become the foundation stone for the rebuilding of Jewish life in exile.
The fact is that this became the durable, stable, tenacious tradition of people who lived in many places and were often on the move.
It's suitcase ready.
That's right, it's suitcase ready.
You see rabbis sometimes who don't even share the same century arguing among themselves.
Absolutely right. Here you have the commentaries that surround the text of the Mishnah and the Talmud, 11th century France, 12th and 13th century France, 11th century Tunisia. The interpretation never ends.
Nothing ever gets fixed. I mean, that's,
and it never gets frozen. Remember, this civilization that was based on the law that was established in the Talmud would have disappeared long ago if it had not learned to adapt to circumstances. Now,
so
again,
it has a kind of organic quality.
It is deeply organic.
Enduring, adapting.
But it adapted in ways that would not damage its own integrity. It was written for an endless future. It was created for an endless future.
Kamala Harris's husband, Doug Emhoff, is Jewish. And check out this speech he just made in Arizona.
Look, there's a lot of stuff going on out there right now, but I love being Jewish. I love it. I want to make sure that if you are Jewish, just make sure you live openly and proudly and without fear.
So I think it's very cute that Doug stands up and he says that he's very proud to be a Jew and you shouldn't be scared.
Can I take that? Would you like me to sign this? Which one? I love that. Thank Would you like me to sign this?
מה שישראל לאחרונה זאת מתייצב כמה עניינים. מה שרואה עוד, וגם משהו שעדיין משאיר ליבו. אז הייתה משהו במה ידיעתו.
To mark October 7, Donald Trump visited the grave of Rabbi Menachem Schneerson in New York, where he prayed for the release of the Israeli hostages in Gaza. Who is Rabbi Schneerson, aka the Rebbe? Schneerson is a Russian Empire-born American rabbi who led the Brooklyn-based Lubavitch Hasidic movement from 1950 until his death in 1994. He was a powerful figure well known for his hardline books promoting Jewish supremacy in accordance with his controversial two-soul teachings. Some of his followers believed he was the Messiah, even though he refuted these beliefs. As a staunch supporter of Israel, despite not visiting the so-called Jewish state, Schneerson wielded influence upon numerous political figures. High-ranking politicians including Ronald Reagan, Robert F. Kennedy, Yitzhak Rabin, and Benjamin Netanyahu were known to consult with him regularly. On one such occasion, Schneerson claimed that Netanyahu would be Israel's final leader and that the Israeli politician would hand the scepter over to the Messiah. In 1991, the rabbi's representative to Washington was asked for a blessing for then-President George H.W. Bush, who had been rushed to the hospital. This was Schneerson's response.
bringe schon der diese Palästina zu familiar
Former US President Jimmy Carter designated the rabbi's birthday, April 18, as National Education and Sharing Day, and Argentina's Javier Milei visited Schneerson's grave during the current president's 2023 electoral campaign. Is Trump's visit to the infamous rabbi's grave a spiritual act or political campaigning?
We will remove the jihadist sympathizers and Jew haters. We're going to remove the Jew haters who do nothing to help our country. They only want to destroy our country. And we will never let the horrors of October 7th be repeated here on American soil. We will not let that happen, and we will solve the problem.
There can be miracles when you believe. Though hope is frail, it's hard to kill. When you believe, somehow you will.
The Jews run the show in the world, not because they want, because that's what God wants. And it's written in the Torah that the non-Jews admit that is the word of God. If they didn't admit, what's the proof? But in the Torah it says that in every nation you will always be the highlight of the place. Even though we have very small community compared to America, 300 million Americans, 5 million Jews. There's no comparison. But the Jews are everywhere. Politics. All the assistants of Trump, Jews. All the assistants of Sleepy Joe, Jews. Obama, Jews. Everyone around there. Reform Jews, conservative Jews, Chabadnik. Tizal katal imrati. The rain falls fast. Boom. Like in Florida now. Hurricane over there. Yesterday, the pro-Palestinian dance over there. Today, Hashem destroyed the place. They want to learn the hard way, they learn the hard way. You let these Nazis demonstrate, one day this place will be destroyed. That's how it goes. You get Hashem angry, expect consequences. The United States made a decision against Israel. Few days later, New Orleans was all flooded. Some Christian leaders spoke. They say every time we do something to the chosen people, immediately we have a natural disaster. Someone made a video of every decision the Americans made betraying their best friends, the best ally, Israel. Immediately Hashem responded with massive tragedy here. September 11, the New Orleans, typhoons, hurricanes, all kinds of things. Someone Christian made a video. You have to see. It's unbelievable. Why? If you decided to be a friend of the Jewish people, of the Jewish state, friend has to be a friend all the way. Not sometimes, yes, one day you're against, one day you're with them. The only reason we didn't attack Iran now is because America. They do not let. We will give you diplomacy, protection, we'll give you extra, we give you this weapon and that weapon. You need to wait until after the election. You will destroy it for us. If you're going to start a war now, there's no chance for Chameleon to win the election. That's what's happening right now. The Israelis were ready to wipe them out, to shut down all the nuclear places, all the oil places, all the energy places. It will be an attack of 1 or 2 hours, and Iran would go back 1,000 years in time.
Over here is the Inglourious Basterds section, and over here are the people who made the movie. Hey! In Inglourious Basterds, Christoph Waltz played a Nazi obsessed with finding Jews. Well, Christoph? The Motherlode.
What gave me serious thought were the activities of these Jews in certain fields of life. Was there any shady undertaking, any form of nastiness, especially in cultural life, in which at least one Jew did not participate? On putting the probing knife carefully into that abscess, one immediately discovers, like a maggot in a rotting corpse, often blinded by the dazzling light, a little Jew! In my eyes, the charge against Jews became even more serious the moment I discovered their ownership of the mainstream press, as well as their production of degenerate art and filthy literature and entertainment. All of my former desires to defend Jews were now essentially futile. One needed only to look at the posters announcing the most degenerate and monstrous productions of the cinema and theater, and notice the Jewish names of the authors who were so highly praised there in order to become permanently unwavering as an anti-Semite. Here was a disease, a moral disease, with which the public was being infected, one worse than the Black Plague. And in what mighty doses this moral poison was manufactured and distributed by Jews. It was a terrible thought, but one that I couldn't avoid anymore. That these Jews seemed particularly destined by nature to promote degeneracy. Acting like a sewage pump, they were spewing their filth directly in the face of humanity. Is this really what it means to be chosen by God? I continued to notice the Jewish names of the creators of this filthy cultural pollution. As a result, I became even more disgusted with Jews than I was previously. Even if my emotions might resist 1,000 times, my intellect now had to draw the necessary conclusions. The fact was that 90% of all the filthy, pornographic, and pedophilic literature, the artistic trash, and the theatrical idiocy was being created by Jews, who formed scarcely 1% of the nation. This fact could no longer be denied. It was there, and I had to admit it. Then I began to examine the mainstream press that I used to love. The deeper I probed, the more its style seemed more repellent. Its ideas started to seem shallow and superficial. I no longer was tricked into believing it was impartial. The owners, of course, were Jews. I now understood the language of the Jewish people. I realized that they used language for the purpose of disguising their thoughts so that their real goals cannot be discovered by what they say, but rather by reading between the lines. I now saw the mainstream press in a different light. Its silence on certain important issues was a cunning and despicable way of deceiving the reader. Its brilliant reviews always praised fellow Jews, while its negative criticisms were reserved exclusively for Germans. Its subject matter was often trashy and indecent. The entire language of the mainstream press had the accent of an alien race of people, Jews. The general tone of the mainstream press was so openly derogatory to Germans that they were obviously doing it intentionally. Then something happened that increased my insights. I began to see that a whole series of events that were taking place in my country were inspired by a code of ethics and morals openly practiced by the majority of Jews. I learned what evil really is. The relationship of Jews to prostitution, and even worse, to human trafficking, could be easily observed, whether one wished it or not. A cold shiver ran down my spine when I first realized that it was the evil, shameless, and calculating Jews who skillfully directed such exploitation. Then I became enraged. I no longer hesitated about bringing up the Jewish question. No, now I sought to discuss it with my countrymen. I learned to identify the Jew in many different spheres of cultural life. Only then did I truly understand who the evil seducers of our people were. If the Jew...
The official Holocaust Museum's own video on the topic starts off like this.
To burn books is simply a fundamental repression of ideas.
I mean, what can a book do, and why is it so dangerous that it needs to be physically annihilated?
If book burning or censorship is so unheard of and egregious, why did we ban 30,000 books in post-war Germany during denazification when the Nazis themselves only banned around 4,000? The event itself is constantly mentioned, but it's also always glossed over extremely quickly. Few stop to ask themselves, what books did the Nazis actually burn? This fairly simple question is rarely looked into. When asked, the answer is usually just Jewish books and they didn't like Jews, and then no further comment given. This is not good enough. It's time to actually look into what these books were and why they were burned and then banned. After the collapse in World War I, Germany was in a terrible state. Communist revolutions rose and fell, nationalist militias rose to meet them. Stuck with heavy loan repayments to the Allies, the German currency was not in a good shape, and things would only get worse in that regard later on. Life had begun anew, the old regime was gone, millions had died or been disabled fighting for a Germany that no longer existed. There was no triumphant return for them. A sad, depressed, and nihilistic world arose from the rubble. Berlin was the epicenter of this new world. The old values were gone and the new were in. The crippling poverty had turned many to work in the streets. There were as many as 100,000 prostitutes or sex clubs at any one time just in that one city. It wasn't confined to a red light district like modern day Amsterdam, for example. This was the city. The most unusual culture arose in what some would call a modern day Babylon. There was a street in Berlin purely filled with pregnant prostitutes, another with disfigured ones, acid scars, hunchbacks, you name it. Another was purely mother-daughter teams who would dress exactly alike. A lot of what went on in the city, many in the modern world would agree with. This aspect, most would find abhorrent. On a more acceptable level to our modern society, homosexuality was rife, and one famous Brit who emigrated called Berlin a bugger's paradise. Thousands turned up from all over Europe to the one city they felt their life would be accepted and even promoted. Drugs were widely available, mainly morphine, opium, and cocaine. Transgenderism saw the light of day. Magnus Hirschfeld, a homosexual scientist, founded his Institute of Sexual Research. Here, All moral laws of the past were out the window, and people were free to experiment with gender, bizarre sexual fetishes, or browse his collection of sex items he had on display at the Institute. He was known as the Einstein of sex, and the first occurrence of someone undergoing a full male-to-female gender reassignment surgery was done here. Berlin was essentially liberalism run wild. An important aspect to note is that many, or even most of the leading figures of this new liberal culture, and the liberal government at large at this time, were Jewish. The National Socialists, however, found it abhorrent. As a result, many of the books on the banned list were indeed by Jewish authors. This is just a brief overview of the culture at the time. The burnings started spontaneously by the German Student Union. They called for a cleansing by fire of books that went against the German spirit, which they felt were leading people astray. The Union published the 12 Theses, a reference to Martin Luther's 95 Theses and written in a similar style. It went as follows: I've replaced all the uses of the word Volk with people instead of folk, which sounds stupid in English. 1. Language and literature have their roots in the people. It is the German people's responsibility to assure that its language and literature are the pure and unadulterated expressions of its people's tradition. 2. At present there is a chasm between literature and German tradition. This situation is a disgrace. 3. Purity of language and literature is your responsibility. Your people have entrusted you with the duty of faithfully preserving your language. 4. Our most dangerous enemy is the Jew, and those who are his slaves. 5. A Jew can only think Jewish. If he writes in German, he is lying. The German who writes in German, but thinks un-German, is a traitor. The student who speaks and writes un-German is, in addition, faultless and has abandoned his duties. 6. We want to eradicate lies. We want to denounce treason. We want institutions of discipline and political education for us, the students, not mindlessness. 7. We want to regard the Jew as alien, and we want to respect the traditions of the people. Therefore, we demand of the censor, Jewish writings are to be published in Hebrew. If they appear in German, they must be identified as translations. Strongest actions against the abuse of the German script. German script is only available to Germans. The un-German spirit is to be eradicated from public libraries. 8. We demand of the German students the desire and capacity for independent knowledge and decisions. 9. We demand of German students the desire and capability to maintain the purity of the German language. 10. We demand of German students the desire and capability to overcome Jewish intellectualism and the resulting liberal decay in the German spirit. 11. We demand the selection of students and professors in accordance with their reliability and commitment to the German spirit. 12. We demand that German universities be a stronghold of the German people's tradition and a battleground reflecting the power of the German mind. Nearly a month later, the book burnings began at the epicenter of Weimar culture, Magnus Hirschfeld's Institute of Sex Research. 20,000 books were burned. These types of spontaneous book burnings continued until it became a whole movement of its own. The motives, in their eyes, are summed up well by Goebbels in 2 passages from his speech relating to the burnings. Yes to decency and morality in family and state. Here, the intellectual foundation of the November Republic is sinking to the ground, but from this wreckage, the phoenix of a new spirit will triumphantly rise. As the ever-growing Nazi movement saw it, the years following the disaster of the World War had been a mistake. Germany had gone down the wrong path. They felt their culture had been hijacked by Jews, liberals, and defeatists. They felt family values had given way to rampant individualism, moral values given way to sexual deviancy, homosexuality, and worse. The comparisons to our current time are obvious and barely deserve mentioning. Then, as now, it was a battle between the sacred principles of our society in the past and the new, liberal, and unknown. Communism was the sworn enemy of National Socialism. They had fought and died against each other ever since the birth of the movement. There was never any doubt that communist works would be the first on the chopping block. To name some of the most obvious, Karl Marx's Das Kapital, the Holy Book of Communism, was sent to the flames, as was Lenin's and Trotsky's works. Communists closer to home, like Rosa Luxemburg's works, were banned also. Pacifism was seen as weakness. While National Socialism didn't see war as inherently good, the movement felt pacifism to be like a disease that weakens the wider whole. The book that spawned the recent Netflix hit remake, All Quiet on the Western Front, was sent to the flames and later banned. Books on early transgender theory being sent to the flames should hardly be surprising given where the first burning began. Hirschfeld's library was gutted and sent straight into the flames outside. Transgenderism was viewed in all countries, not just in National Socialist Germany at the time, as something absurd and deranged. Hirschfeld was the perfect example for the Germans of what they didn't want in society. A Jewish homosexual scientist who turns men into women. He was on a speaking tour at the time of the burnings. He never returned. Some of his works include The Objective Diagnosis of Homosexuality, Transvestites, the Erotic Drive to Crossdress, and The Sexual History of the World War. Equally alongside with transgenderism, the burning of homosexual works could be best summed up in the character of Hirschfeld and his works. The liberalisation of society and the availability for those fighting their homosexual desires, no matter how strong, to act on them was everywhere, even in the early Nazi Party. The top rungs of the SA had a serious problem with bedding young boys. Part of the justification for the Night of the Long Knives was this. When the SS stormed in to arrest the top SA members, many were found in bed with young boys. They wanted this utterly stamped out of the party and society as a whole, and the acceptance of it left to the Weimar past. The laws that were currently in place against homosexuality from the previous regimes but not enforced were now actually enforced under the Nazis. Pornography or any kind of work seen as being degenerate in this regard was sent to the flames and banned. Much as today, there was a huge opposition to porn, and why the Nazis would oppose such a thing needs no explanation. I haven't left the Jewish books for last because I feel they're the least important. It's more because it's a culmination of the rest. The Jews, for many long and complex historical reasons, find themselves massively overrepresented in art, literature, politics, and liberal culture in general. They've been a major part of the history of liberalism, and at the spearhead of every movement that's challenged the European status quo. All that is to say that at the highest levels of all the former categories, you find many, many Jewish authors, and mixed in with the other gripes the National Socialists had with Jewish practices, such as their banking, it's not hard to imagine why the Jewish books were an easy target for them. They felt the Jews had a hand in all their problems, be it cultural, political, or financial.
As indeed he did on becoming Chancellor in 1933, enacting not only violence and intimidation towards Jews, but also legally barring Jews from any meaningful life inside Germany, forcing hundreds of thousands to emigrate in the 1930s. The Jews were legally barred from all the professions, and then in 1935, the Nuremberg laws were promulgated, defining who was Aryan and who was not. These laws actually forbade marriage or sexual relationships between Jews and non-Jews, codified as the law for the protection of German blood and German honor. These laws were later extended to include Romani and black people, and Romani in particular were held at the same level of contempt as Jews. But what about pre-existing marriages and relationships and the offspring these unions had already produced before the laws came into effect? What was the children's status? The Nazis produced a complex series of classifications to cover all possible heritage cases, and applied them without regard to families. The children of two Aryan parents were considered Deutschblütige or German-blooded and received Reich citizenship. Those who were 1/8 Jewish, that is, had one Jewish great-grandparent, were likewise German-blooded. There then followed the classification Mischling or mixed race, Mischling also translating as mongrels. Mixed race of the second degree were those persons who were a quarter Jewish, having one Jewish grandparent. They could also have German citizenship. And finally, there was mixed race of the first degree, being 3/8 or half Jewish. These people would also be approved for German citizenship. Jews were defined as being 3/4 or wholly Jewish, and were designated as race enemies and persecuted. Citizens had to obtain a German blood certificate proving their racial and citizenship status. In this way, some families contained German citizens and Jews, and would be split up as the persecutions ramped up into World War II, and full Jews were sent to concentration camps. So it was that many Mischlinge, men who were half or quarter Jewish, ended up in military uniform during World War II, uniform adorned with the swastika. How many? Well, the figures are astounding. It has been calculated by historians that during World War II, about 150,000 soldiers were Mischlinge, and there were some very high-profile examples. Many of these men joined the armed forces because they did not consider themselves to be Jewish. Some cases show that men officially rejected their Jewish mothers and emphasized how German and Christian they were. Some came from families that had previously converted to Christianity for a variety of reasons and no longer identified as Jews. One of the most famous examples is that of Werner Goldberg, whose image was used by Nazi propaganda minister Dr. Goebbels as part of a campaign under the title The Ideal German Soldier, not realizing that Goldberg was a Mischling, a man who had half Jewish ancestry. Goldberg's father had long ago converted to Lutheranism, so he could marry a Christian. Werner and his brother were baptized as Lutherans and didn't even know of their father's Jewishness until he lost his job because of the Nuremberg laws. In spite of this, Werner was called up the service in the RAD, the Reichsarbeitsdienst, the Reich Labour Service in 1938, and then served in the army during the invasion of France in 1940, where his image came to national prominence as part of a recruiting campaign. But in April 1940, Hitler ordered that all Mischlinge of the first degree, that is, men who were half Jewish, be expelled from the armed forces. This move would place a lot of soldiers in a difficult situation and cause many people to use powerful Nazi friends to have their racial certificates changed to allow them to remain as soldiers and protect themselves and their families from persecution. Werner Goldberg became a teacher for the Reich Committee for Labour Studies and managed to keep his father out of the clutches of the Gestapo. He and his father were the only members of their immediate family to survive the war. Goldberg became a politician in West Germany after the war and died in Berlin in 2004, aged 84. Another high-profile case was that of Luftwaffe General Erhard Milch, who was also a Mischling, his father being a Jewish pharmacist. When the Gestapo began investigating Milch in the 1930s, his boss, Hermann Göring, became involved and stood by his subordinate. Göring produced an affidavit from Milch's mother, a non-Jew, that Erhard's real father was her own uncle. It was untrue, but who was going to argue with Hermann Göring? Milch was duly issued with a German blood certificate showing him to be 100% Aryan, testimony of incest being more acceptable to the Nazi authorities than having Jewish ancestry. As Göring famously stated, "I will decide who is a Jew and who is not." Milch would go on to become a field marshal and inspector general of the Luftwaffe. Incredibly, in 1947, Milch was tried as a war criminal by the Americans for the ill treatment of forced labor POWs and crimes against humanity, including the use of Jewish slave labor. He received a life sentence, later commuted to 15 years imprisonment, but was released in 1954. He died in Dusseldorf in 1972, the last of Hitler's field marshals. There were even some Mischlings in the SS, where ancestral heritage was examined in great detail. Perhaps the most famous was the case of Hitler's chauffeur, a member of his early bodyguard unit, Emil Morris. A close friend of Hitler's from the early days of the Nazi movement, Morris was proved to have had a Jewish great-grandfather, though this would classify Morris as a Reich citizen, as he had 1/8 Jewish ancestry under the Nuremberg laws. No Jewish ancestry was acceptable to the SS. This all came to light in 1935 when Morris applied to marry, he being required to furnish Himmler with a full family tree back to 1750, as was the practice for SS officers. Though Morris had been a party member since 1919, had taken part in the 1923 Beerhall Putsch, and been awarded the prestigious Blood Order for his involvement, Himmler demanded his removal. But Hitler actively stood by Morris. He and his brothers were declared honorary Aryans and remained in the SS. He would go on to serve as a Luftwaffe officer in World War II, as well as remaining an SS officer, reaching the rank of Oberführer, or senior colonel.
אוקיי, אז השאלה...
נו יוסי, תגיד שלא.
בשיטה אתם קוראים מודון...
בטח, מה, זה חיות. הם חיות, הם קוראים בהמות, כתוב. כתוב, אתם קוראים מודון ואין הם קוראים מודון.
זהו, אבל לא הם בהמות.
נכון, לא כתוב שהם בהמות.
אבל יש איזה הסבר על זה, נכון? למה הם...
רגע,
זה מה שאני רוצה להבין. רגע, שקט. אז מי, כן, מה כתוב? זה מה שאני לא מבין.
כתוב שאתם קרויים אדם, והגויים לא קרויים אדם, זה מה שכתוב.
לא קרויים?
לא קרויים אדם, לא קוראים להם אדם.
אוקיי, אז מה קוראים להם?
אדם זה הדמה לעליון. אדם הוא בן אדם שהוא שונה מהבהמה. אם הבן אדם עושה את מעשה הבהמה, אז הוא כמו הבהמה, מה זה שווה? כל בן אדם צריך לשלוט על עצמו. זה היהודים שולטים על עצמם. אם היצר אומר להם לעשות דבר והם לא עושים, אז הוא בן אדם.
אוקיי, אבל יש מישהו שהוא לא יהודי, שעושה מה שצריך, הוא בן אדם או לא בן אדם?
כן, צריך לעשות דברים נורמליים. בדרך כלל הם עושים, הם יכולים להרוג אנשים כשלא רואים אותם. יהודי לא יהרוג יהודי, אפילו שלא רואים אותם. אם אחד גוי, כן?
אבל יש יהודים שהורגים יהודים.
יש.
יגאל עמיר, רבי פופר.
יהודי שמתנהג כמו יהודי, ודאי יש יהודים שלא מתנהגים גם.
אוקיי, אבל רגע, מה שאני לא מבין, זה כל הגויים הם איך קוראים?
תקשיב שנייה, אדוני.
בהמות.
אני יכול להגיד לך משהו?
אם אין להם ציווי.
אדם זה על שם הדמה לעליון. אדם זה כביכול הדמה לאלוקים. אוקיי? זה פירוש אדם. אנחנו הפכנו את זה, זאת אומרת העם הפך את זה. והאדם בן אדם, כמו אתה בן אדם, אתה צריך להתנהג כמו בן אדם. אבל בעיקרון זה על שם עליון. אדם זה הדמה לעליון, וכיוון שאנחנו בנים של אלוקים, אז הוא קרא לנו בני אדם. עכשיו, הגויים מה שאין, כן? אלוקים עשה אותם בשביל שיעשו פה...
בשביל לשרת את היהודים. כל הגויים שאתה רואה שיש בעולם, המיליארדים האלה, הם הכל רק בשביל שהיהודים יהיה להם איזה תועלת.
עכשיו,
אנחנו לא רואים את זה, אנחנו לא יודעים בדיוק.
שנייה, כן, היות ואנחנו בגלות, אז אוטומטי עדיין הם עוד לא משרתים אותנו לגמרי, רק חלקית.
כל אחד יהיה לו, כשמשיח יבוא, אז כל אחד יהיה לו אלפים עבדים, 2,800 עבדים.
בינתיים, המשיח לא כאן, אז איך הם משרתים אותנו?
הם בונים לנו רכבים, דירות, בניינים, למי הם בונים את זה? לנו. משרתים את היהודים.
אבל יש גם יהודים שעושים את זה.
בקושי.
בסדר, בוא תשמע. לא,
תסתכל על המציאות, תסתכל על...
אבל שאני מתנהג בשבילי. אתה מבין? בשבילי אני מתנהג כמו בן אדם.
ואתה לא חושב שגויים גם עושים אותו דבר? רגע, כמה גויים אתה מכיר?
אני לא מכיר אישי, אני לא מכיר גויים. לא רוצה להגיד.
אז מאיפה אתה יודע? כי אמרו לך. לא?
אני רואה עיתונים.
רואים איך שהם מתנהגים, הם לא מתנהגים כמו יהודים.
את ההורים שלהם.
איך
יהודי צריך להתנהג, לראות את השני שהוא גם יהודי, לראות את הלב שלו שהוא גם יהודי, אבל הגוי הזה לא עושה את זה.
גם כן, בוא תשמע עוד דבר. יש דברים שאנחנו גם כן לא מבינים מה שכתוב, זה אמת.
מה?
הנה, שבוע שעבר.
יש דברים שזה כתוב, ואנחנו לא יודעים בדיוק מה הפשט בזה, עד שיגידו לנו. אנחנו יודעים בערך קצת, זה התשובה. בוא, תלך הלאה, בוא נשמע מה יש לך.
אתם עושים הפוך על הפוך, כי אתם אמרתם שהגויים לא בני אדם, אבל הם אומרים ש...
אנחנו לא הורגים גם חתולים, אפילו שהם לא בני אדם. אנחנו לא נהרוג אותם.
נכון.
אוקיי, בסדר. שאדם זה על שם הדמה לעליון.
אני רוצה להגיד לך עוד דבר, למה היטלר לא היה יהודי, הוא היה גוי? היטלר היה גוי, למה הוא לא היה יהודי?
לא יודע, נו.
שיהודי לא יעשה את זה.
אוקיי, רגע. זה מה שכתבו לי. שנייה. זה כתוב.
עוד שאלה אחת.
אוקיי, בבא מציע.
רגע, אני רוצה להגיד לך משהו. אני רואה שזה שאלות קנטריות. זאת אומרת, דברים שכאילו זה מעצבן.
חריפים, כן, ברור. מה, אני אבוא עם פרווה? מה, בשביל מה? אני יודע פרווה.
טוב, בוא נשמע.
שהיהודים, גויים הם עקומים.
עקום? עקום, זה לא עקום שהם עקומים ככה, עקומים עם א'.
אז מה זה?
עקום זה עובדי כוכבים ומזלות. זה ראשי תיבס.
די, מספיק.
למה? נו באמת.
מתפללים פה, מה זה מה?
עקום זה לא עקום.
זה לא תיאטרון, זה לא תיאטרון.
לא, זה לא נכון.
אבל אתה רוצה שאנשים יבינו, כן או לא?
לא רוצה שאף אחד יבין.
לא, מה, זה נראה להם כאילו שהם מתחילים לקטרג. לא, אני רואה לפי השאלות, זה שאלות כאילו ש...
ברור, אבל זה מה, אני אשאל אותך על חלב הבשר, זה אני יודע.
אבל זה טעות, עקום זה לא עקום.
אוקיי, בסדר.
עקום זה ראשי תיבות, עובדי כוכבים ומזלות.
אוקיי.
הם עובדים את הכוכבים, לא את השם.
אוקיי. וגויים הם כמו כלבים? כלבים?
בכלבים?
גויים.
מאיפה הבאת את זה?
אס ארגת רש"י ארוד, לא יודע.
ראובן.
לא יודע, מישהו שלח לי את זה, אני לא יודע. ארגת רש"י ארוד.
What I would like for you to take from this video is that history is often more gray rather than it being white or black like we were taught in school, and that of course the winners of all wars, they are the ones that write our history. So you have to measure both sides equally and really think who benefits from this. Oh, and the last thing, never trust a guy who wants to implant a chip into your skull or in your right hand, because this technology in the future will damn you to hell for all of eternity. I mean, read the book of Revelation sometimes. So, that will be it for today. Of course, thank you for watching and supporting me, and I hope you have a great and blessed day. I will see you in the upcoming videos. Bye bye.